Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we'll chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verses 21 to 30.
अमीहित्वां सुरसङ्घा विशन्ति केचिद्भीताः प्राञ्जलयो गृह्णन्ति स्वस्तीत्युक्त्वा महर्षिः सिद्धसङ्घाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः रुद्रादित्या वसवो ये च साध्याः विश्वेश्विनौ मरुतश्चोष्मपाश्च गन्धर्वयक्षासुरसिद्धसङ्घाः वीक्षन्ते त्वां विस्मिताश्चैव सर्वे रूपं महत्ते बहुवक्त्रनेत्रम् महाबाहो बहुबाहूरुपादम् बहूदरं बहुदंष्ट्राकरालम् दृष्ट्वा लोकाः प्रव्यथितास्तथाहम् नभस्पृशं दीप्तमनेकवर्णं व्यात्ताननं दीप्तविशालनेत्रम् दृष्ट्वा हि त्वां प्रव्यथितान्तरात्मा धृतिं न विन्दामि शमं च विष्णो दंष्ट्राकरालानि च ते मुखानि दृष्ट्वैव कालानलसन्निभानि दिशो न जाने न लभे च शर्म प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास अमी च त्वां धृतराष्ट्रस्य पुत्राः सर्वे सहैवावनिपालसङ्घैः भीष्मो द्रोणः सूतपुत्रस्तथासौ सहास्मदीयैरपि योधमुख्यैः वक्त्राणि ते त्वरमाणा विशन्ति दंष्ट्राकरालानि भयानकानि केचिद्विलग्ना दशनान्तरेषु सन्दृश्यन्ते चूर्णितैरुत्तमाङ्गैः यथा नदीनां बहवोऽम्बुवेगाः समुद्रमेवाभिमुखा द्रवन्ति तथा तवामी नरलोकवीराः विशन्ति वक्त्राण्यभिविज्वलन्ति यथा प्रदीप्तं ज्वलनं पतङ्गाः विशन्ति नाशाय समृद्धवेगाः तथैव नाशाय विशन्ति लोकाः तवापि वक्त्राणि समृद्धवेगाः लेलिह्यसे ग्रसमानः समन्तात् लोकान् समग्रान् वदनैर्ज्वलद्भिः तेजोभिरापूर्य जगत्समग्रम् भासस्तवोग्राः प्रतपन्ति विष्णो।
Jankiji?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have an unfinished question from last Sunday. If fear is caused by selfishness, then why is Arjuna so fearful now, considering he was a righteous person?
Thank you. So, does anyone have an answer?
He lost objectivity
Okay.
and disparity.
Sorry?
Disparity.
Because of disparity. Okay. But we had spoken about how Prahlada didn't, right? So what is the disparity between the young boy and Narasimha? But he didn't lose his objectivity. So you're right, he did lose his objectivity. The question is how or why?
Because he taken personally. We should not take personally. It should be objective.
Okay, he took it personally. Can you explain more? You're correct. You're headed in the right direction, but fully articulate.
Janki ji, he was attached to his gurus.
Okay. You can say that. You're all sort of heading in the right direction. Deepraj, the question is, which we stopped last time, is fear is caused by selfishness. We studied that. Now here is Arjuna, who's an unselfish person, a noble person. He's on the good side. What on earth is he so terrified about? So how come Arjuna is frightened here? I mean, we're seeing the huge fear. He's like terrified out of his mind. In fact, he says so. Pravyatitantaratma, terrified mind. He describes himself as being terrified. So how come, if fear is caused by selfishness, how is it that Arjuna is so frightened? Ego, he sees his own insignificance. Two opposite points, Deepraj, either he sees his ego, either it's ego or he sees his insignificance, one or the two. How can it be both? So nobody has to remind,
Is it that fear is also caused by ignorance, right? I mean, he is seeing a duality which is outside, and that's what makes him afraid.
Okay, that can be fine. Sure. There is selfishness to an extent. What do you mean there is selfishness to an extent?
There is some selfishness.
Okay, that's what you said. What do you mean? You mean he's not entirely unselfish? Is that what you mean?
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay, so I'm glad that all of you all are generally headed in the right direction. But please see the most important point. Selfishness causes agitations. All right, that's a given. In this case, the agitation is fear. Selfishness causes fear. Now, why is Arjuna so agitated? Why is he so fearful? Because at this moment, please remember, this is not the noble Arjuna. This is the selfish Arjuna. At this moment, his selfishness has taken over. He is now more concerned with my father, my mother, my brother, my sister. It's all about him at the moment. So, though he is a generally noble person, at the moment he's behaving in a selfish manner. Instead of going to the war which has been decided and fighting the war, he has now turned it all about himself. And so he has selfishness right now. His selfishness is manifesting, and therefore his agitation. But if you see in the case of Prahlad, at that time there was no selfishness. Nothing is happening. He's not getting all involved. My father is, what will happen to my father? What will happen to my father? If he starts thinking like that, he would be terrified to see Narasimha. So, though it is true that Arjuna is a noble person, at this moment he is behaving in a selfish manner, and that is why he is overwhelmed with this much emotion. Okay.
Clarification. So if this cosmic form were to be revealed after chapter 18, would his reaction have been any different?
Yeah, then he would have loved the Lord, no? I mean, to some extent at least. You're seeing the Lord. What are you so frightened about? So the reason we are so frightened about these things also is sometimes we are so, I mean, one aspect of our selfishness is we are so stagnant where we are. So what happens is we don't constantly associate with the higher and constantly lift ourselves up. After some time, the higher is just pleasurable to us. So if anybody in this class is very happy with this class,
No sound.
Hariom, she seems to have lost connection. So just a minute, please.
so how much did you hear?
If anybody is happy with the class.
Okay. If anybody is happy with the class, I hate to say this, but you're not putting in enough effort. It has to be a strife, a struggle. That doesn't mean you're miserable and unhappy, but every bit of it is work. It is not a play, it's not a relaxation, it is not a, what should I say? It's my monthly or my weekly or stress buster. The class, understood, is not a stress buster, it creates stress. That is why at the beginning of every class we pray. What do we pray?
Maybe not hate each other.
Maybe not hate each other. Very
Maybe strive together.
maybe strive together, maybe not hate each other, because a little bit of irritation towards the subject, towards the teacher will always be there, in the sense, not that you're really irritated, but it's work, it's really having to do something. So I don't know, all these people who are so eagerly signing up for the PG diploma course, whether they understand how much work it's going to be. But I'm happy to see that people are showing interest. So that's something. But it's work. It's not like, just go relax. It will be the hardest work, because trying to change ourselves is the most difficult thing. Why do we all spend our time changing other people? Because it's easier to try and tell them what to do than to do it ourselves. That is why we are so generous in our advice to others. In fact, I noticed some people who filled in the survey form have said that they would like to help others. Yeah, well, we have a long way in helping ourselves first. So, when that selfishness strikes us, it strikes in different ways. One of those ways is fear. Nobody listens. Fear. One of those ways is,
hitting.
we
You
covered
will
the whole
hit.
world, but please don't forget the point.
You will hit the people.
Fear. Is one word. Fear. I didn't catch that, Meera.
Fear. Fear of losing one's family.
That we've covered long ago. Now we are on the next question. That question was over. You remember which question we are on? What happened? Nobody remembers which question we are on?
He was fearful.
Bharat, at least you remember which question we are on?
Yes, I remember. Just waiting for others to answer.
Why Arjuna was
Sorry?
frightened? Why Arjuna was frightened seeing the Vishwarup Darshan?
Can you all hear me? Are you all there?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. So, do you remember? Can you ask Farooq to check whether this hotspot is working? Because I told him, I think I put
You're muted, Jan. You're muted.
All right. Thank you. Now, one of the way our selfishness acts up is in one word answer. Please remember the point we were on. We were on Bharat's point, which is that, which was what? Nobody knows anything. This is true. Sorry. He said that suppose he saw the Vishwarupa after the 18 chapters, would he have still been so terrified? Remember? I was there or not? In no other class, we seem to have so many disturbances. Are you doing something? Can you say something so that I know whether anyone is there?
Can you hear us, Janki ji?
Yes.
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we are there.
We can hear you, Janki ji.
Thank you. Shall we make some attempt again? Okay. We were on Bharat's point that if he had seen the Vishwarupa after 18 chapters, then would he have been so terrified? So, answer that we started was that one of the ways that selfishness manifests is
Ignorance.
attachment. So
Lack of effort.
Yeah, stagnation. So what happens is we start enjoying our level of goodness, whatever it be. And we don't want to put in the effort to sort of struggle for more. Right? So then eventually the class is enjoyable to us. We love doing it, so we do it. Then after some time, the enjoyment wears away because we enjoy, that is the nature of enjoyment. And therefore you see a high turnover in class. You will find, oh, those people were there and they were so dedicated at that time and now they're not there. So the dedication was to the enjoyment of the class, not necessarily to the effort of the class, because those who are dedicated to the effort of the class, they have a more sustainable sadhana. It'll go on for many years. But otherwise, most people 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they'll go, then they'll come back when they get disturbed, then again they'll disappear, and they come back. Sometimes they don't come back, sometimes they do other things, whatever. So because what are they chasing? Like the storm chasers. What are they chasing?
Enjoyment.
The enjoyment, the calmness, the bliss. No, but we can't have it until we are realized. So we have to put in the effort to realize the self, to purify. And it is the teacher's always unpleasant task to tell people that you got to buck up here. And who wants to hear that? Nobody wants to hear that. So then there's fear, and then there is agitation, and then there is, oh, I don't like this teacher, I like that teacher, stuff like that goes on. So Bharat, is that clear? So would he have had the same terror after his 18 chapters? He would have had less of it, but unless he was striving, there would still be terror.
Okay, thank you.
Nabhasprusham, touching the sky, deeptam anekavarnam, shining in many colors. Ananam vyaktam, the mouth is open. Deepta vishala netram. You have to imagine what he's seeing, okay? Massive form with huge eyes looking at you. The law of karma is looking at us with huge eyes and with a lot of light. What do you mean by light? It sees it, and it sees it with knowledge. Knowledge in the sense, he doesn't have a warped idea of reality. Knowledge, law of causation. It's just a picturization, okay? Not like the law is looking at you or anything. Just a picturization of this whole thing. And looking at this, I am terrified. And of course, sees on the different colors, because nothing is black and white, right? Life is full of this wide and varied hues. So what is it representing? It's representing people who have realized, people who are nabhasprusham, who have touched the skies. Touch the sky, it means realize the self. We've risen to that level and are able to see everything so clearly. When they look at you, they see you, they absolutely see you. So when you look at them, terror, Baba, what are you seeing in me? If, excuse me, the strife is not wrong. So whenever we see anyone greater than us, more unselfish, more disciplined, there's an immediate respect for that person. Now imagine what stature he is talking about over here. So he says, Dhrutim nashan vindami shamam cha Vishnam. I don't have courage, I don't have peace. How can we have courage in the face of somebody who's so much more greater than us? And I have no peace. I lost my peace. Very, very interesting concept. I've lost my peace. And it's always a good idea to find out what I am doing wrong if I have lost my peace. If your stomach is well, you won't feel it. If your teeth are fine, you won't feel them. The moment you feel a pain, something is not correct, right? So similarly, when your mind goes through any such pain, any agitation, fear, whatever it is, you feel the presence of even yourself. You just feel your own presence. Something is wrong. Because whatever is working beautifully, you never feel the presence. You never feel the presence of oxygen, right? It's working beautifully. If you may feel its presence in Delhi, but other than that, you don't feel it. Anything that works, you don't feel. You don't feel. What if I ask you, what are you feeling about your feet right now? You say nothing. Why are you feeling nothing? Because nothing's wrong with it. So I feel my mind means something is wrong. I feel my body means something is wrong. I feel my own existence. Dhrutim na vindami shamam cha Vishnu. No courage, no peace. Verse 25. Dramshtra karalani cha te mukhani drushtva kala nala sandibani disho na jane na labhe cha sharma prasiddha devesha jagannivasa Dramshtra karalani cha te mukhani Drushtaiva kalanala sannibhani Disho na jane na labhe cha sharma Prasiddha devesha jagannivasa Tramshra karalani chate mukhani. Or mukhani, your mouths. Do you ever talk to anybody, your mouths? Tramshra karalani. Terrible tusks. Lots. Tusks means large teeth, big mouth, lots of mouth, big mouth with large teeth. Drushtaiva kalanala sannibhani. It is like the kala anala, the fires of the end of time, that kind of thing. You know, you can imagine, right? Suppose you were there when Vesuvius erupted. That whole place is going to be destroyed now. Vesuvius has erupted. The entire civilization is going to be wiped out. Those fires of the end of time. Think of it like that, pani, like that. So you I see you standing there, these large, she's touching the sky. It's got large eyes. It's got these many mouths and teeth, and there's fire all over. It's all talking of destruction, concept of destruction. Nalabhe sharma prasiddha devesha jagannivasa. Have mercy, Devesha, O God of gods, prasiddha, have mercy, Jagannivasa, O abode of the universe in the sense the whole world exists in that great being. So you are the abode of the universe. You are where the whole world exists. Just like the mind is where the dream exists. There is no dream beyond the mind. And the mind is way bigger than that particular dream. So similarly, God is the abode in which this whole world exists. Like the desert is the abode in which the mirage exists. So this is massive thing in which this entire universe and all that we can see and think and feel and all of that all exists in that. So he says, I'm seeing you. I do not know the four quarters. Dishe na jane. I don't know the four quarters. In other words, I've lost direction in life. I don't know what is north, what is south, what is east, what is west. I've completely lost direction. And I find no peace. You didn't do the right thing. You understand now that you are a helpless thing. You don't do the right things, consequences come. Just stand there helpless. What can anyone do? So unless we keep in touch with outstanding personalities, with outstanding knowledge, with something greater, nobler, vaster than us, we will never get a sense of how much more we need to do. We'll never have a sense of what further effort is required. We have to keep in touch with people better than us somehow, somewhere. And though it may seem difficult, and where will I find somebody better than me, and who do I keep in touch with? It's always difficult. So the minimum we can do is
Morning studies.
what a smart class. Everybody knows minimum we can do in morning studies. Itna to kari sakte hai na. Where are we going to go hunt for these better people? But the morning studies have to be done like that, to keep in touch with something greater, in the hope of me reaching that something, not just saying, oh, this is so beautiful. And in morning studies also, what are we doing? Are we elevating our personality with higher thoughts or something else? Be careful what you're doing at that time. So You don't do all that. When you don't do all of that, then you see what is a concept. You lose direction, you lose peace. And if you look at our world today, don't you see this today? We are expecting destruction. We have lost direction and we have lost peace. This is our world today. It's not just, it's the individual, it's the society. Whoever doesn't do this will face this consequence. Now, what can anyone do? That's a fact of life. How many people in this world have a direction? Forget in this world, in our own class, how many people have a direction? You know exactly what you're doing with your life. It's a very rare person. We're all sort of playing somewhere, playing some game somewhere. No clarity on what we're doing. So no direction. And when no direction, the obvious result is something has to happen and the peace goes away. Now he is facing the fires of Kala. Fires of Kala means the fires at the end of time. Kala means time, but we understand it means the end of time, like when everything is going to be destroyed. Like we are expecting it, right? Every now and then we say, oh my God, COVID is coming in Mumbai now. When my maid came in today, she was all masked and all for the first time after so long. So what happened to you? How come mask is now in the train? You have to wear a mask. We are expecting either something terrible is going to happen. How many people are just continuing with their normal life, going towards the goal they have set to them for themselves? I don't mean their mechanical existence, but going towards the goal they have kept for themselves, so that whether the world will end or doesn't end, I don't know. I know I have the job to do and I'm doing this job. If the world ends, fine, I will get a break. If the world doesn't end, I will continue doing this. Quite simple. So what on earth am I going to be frightened about? Once we are dead, there is no problem. And if you're not going to die, then what is the problem? So what is there to be frightened about? If we stay on the right path. So he's gone to God, as it were, and saying, I'm seeing you, O Lord, and I've lost direction. Amazing, no? I find no peace, and we are saying, oh God, show me your form. Then I will find direction and peace. No, you won't. Because you have to make yourself an adhikari. Be deserving of whatever you get, and only then can you get it. You cannot get what you don't deserve. And whatever you have got is what you deserve. Both are true. Verse 26. 26 and 27 are chanted together. Anichatvam dhritarashtrasya putraha sarve sahaiva vanipala sangaihi Bhishmo drona sutra putrastathasav sahasmadiyairapi yodhamukhaihi Vaktrani te tvaramana vishanti dramshtra karalani bhayanakani kechid vilagna dashanantareshu samdrushyante churnitairudramangai Amichatvam dhritarashtrasya putraha sarve sahaiva vanipala sangaihi Bhishmo drona suta putrastathasav sahasmadiyairapi yodhamukhaihi Vaktrani te tvaramana vishanti dramshtra karalani bhayanakani kechit vilagnya dashanantareshu samdrushyante churnitairudramangai amichatvam dhritarashtrasya putraha. These putraha, the sons of Dhritarashtra, sarve saha avanipala sangaihi. The hosts of the kings, of the rulers of earth, Bhishma, Drona, Sutaputra. Sutaputra is Karna. He says Bhishma, Drona, he doesn't say Karna. He says Sutaputra. You see, when you're angry with somebody, you will pick their worst quality and talk about it. When you're not angry with somebody, even when they're in the opposing force, he's still calling them Bhishma and Drona, right? Because he doesn't have any anger, personal anger towards them. But he's angry with Karna. So look at how he calls him. So that's what, even we do that, isn't it? When we talk about somebody we don't like, we say, that fat person or that irritating person or that whatever. We call them by names because we don't like them. Aso saha asmadiyaihi, with our army also, with our chiefs. So Dhritarashtra, his sons, all his generals, with our generals, with our chiefs, Vaktrani Tvaramanaha Vishanti. Into those mouths, they are all headed. Tramshrakararani Bhayanakani. Those mouths with those terrible tusks, so fearful, frightening ones. Kechit Vilagna, this is horrible thing, but anyway, it's written over here. Kechit Vilagna Dashanantareshu. Samdrushyante Churnitai Uttamangaihi. Okay, not a very pleasant description, but what he's saying is, okay, so what you have to imagine is the entire armies, both the armies, they're rushing into those mouths, those fearful mouths with those big tusks, with those big teeth, they're all rushing in. I mean, you're rushing into the mouth, he's eating it all up, right? Because time is eating it all up. Now, while he's eating it up, some of them, suppose you also eat some flax seeds. That's stuck in your teeth, no? So these people's heads, Uttarangaihi, the top of the body, is getting stuck and getting crushed over there. So horrible sort of way of looking at it, but you must understand the nature of destruction. This is a fact of life. Good and bad, we are all headed towards the end. We are going to be crushed in the teeth of time. It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. So even though it's not a very nice description, the point is to show us the kind of fear that he's going through. Can you imagine seeing all your people being eaten up by this massive mouth and their heads crushed in the gaps of the teeth? Terrible, no? We don't need to hang out with this verse too much. Let us go to the next one. Okay. Yatha nadinam bahavom bhuvegaha samruddha vega vibhuka dravanti tatha tavami naraloka viraha vishanti vatranyabhivid Jwalanti yatha nadinam bahavombuvegaha samruddha vevabhimukha dravanti tatha tavami naraloka viraha vishanti vakranyabhivajwalanti. As the many torrents of rivers rush towards the ocean. Yatha nadinam bahavom buvegaha. samudram eva abhimukha dravanti. They rush, dravanti, they rush towards abhimukha, their mouths towards the ocean. Tatha, in that way, naraloka viraha. Naraloka, the world of people. Nara, we are the Nara, the people. Naraloka, narakasya loka. What am I saying? Naralokasya viraha. So Naraloka means Mrityulok, means worldly existence. The viraha, the wise, the brave ones who are in this mortal world. They are entering your blazing mouths. I hope you remember all that fire is coming and the big mouth and the flyer and the teeth. And this is what he's seeing, that just as all the rivers rush to the ocean, so too are these going into your mouth. Now, this verse, whether you take it or not, could be a subtle reference to rebirth as well. Because see what is the kind of simile he has used. He said, they're rushing like the rivers into the ocean. But when the rivers reach the ocean, what happens after that? The water condenses, becomes cloud, and then we are back, it's back as rain, isn't it? So this could be a subtle reference to reincarnation. It depends on how you choose to read it. So all these various things, okay, suppose you have a sari, a t-shirt, a turban, I don't know, all sorts of clothes you have, and they all go to their destruction, right? So then what? Then you can, what happens to your clothes after you finish wearing them? You can just recycle them, right? You can make new clothes out of this whole thing. So you don't understand that reality. None of us do. We don't understand the reality. We don't understand how this whole thing works. We see, it's like, there's a whole movie going on and we see just like a middle section. We don't know that things have come from somewhere, that things are going somewhere. We don't understand the light that is making us see that movie. We are just seeing that little sort of an edited portion. We don't see the whole picture, the light in the projector, the whole movie. So we have all these notions in our head. You just suddenly see somebody doing something, you make your own conclusions about it. The reality is hidden from us. The reality of the movie is hidden from us. The reality of the light that shows the movie is hidden from us. So we just don't know what's going on. Absolutely no idea what's going on. Dishe na jane. I don't know the disha. I don't know the direction. It just terrifies me. It terrifies me because I just don't know what's going on. And obviously, I'm making no effort to find out. So I'm just terrified with all this going on. And in spite of the fact that this whole portion is extremely negative because it's all about the destruction, in this verse, in this little verse, we have a little bit of positive. Positive in the sense, you understand that the water cycle goes on. Right? You destroyed, and then you can take rebirth, and then again you'll be destroyed, and again you'll be taking rebirth. And this cycle will go on until we know the final truth. So this whole section is only about Arjuna's fear and how destructive this whole thing is. Verse 29. Yatha pradiptam jwalanam patangaha vishanti nashaya samruddha vegaha tathaiva nashaya vishanti lokaha tavapi vakrani samruddha vegaha yatha pradiptam jwalanam patangaha vishanti nashaya samruddha vegaha tathaiva nashaya vishanti lokaha तवापि वक्त्राणि समृद्धवेगाः यथा प्रदीप्तं ज्वलनं patanga. Like the patanga, like the moths, they go towards the fire, jwalanam, pradiptam, the brilliant fire. The moths are attracted to the fire, vishanti nashaya. They rush in there, they enter that nashaya for chaturthi vibhakti, for the purpose of destruction. Samruddha vegaha. Samruddha means full of, prosperous, samruddhi, like that. Vegaha, with great speed. Tathaiva nashaya vishanti lokaha. Tathaiva, in that way itself, for the purpose of destruction, the people enter. Vaktrani samudra vegaha. Vaktrani, mouths, they enter your mouths with this great speed. And this verse is interesting because of its juxtapositioning with the previous verse. In the previous verse, he used the example of the rivers going into the ocean. And the rivers going into the ocean could signify, it's of course a matter of how you are looking at these verses, the cycle, the water cycle. Right? So the rivers enter the ocean, they get evaporated. Water is evaporated, comes up as clouds, comes down and becomes the river again. Now this verse, he gives another one. He says, as the patangas go into the jwalanam, as the moths go into the fire. So you see the cycle is over, right? Here there's no cycle because there's no supposed cycle. So this verse lends itself to two kinds of meanings. One is, you can be like that patanga, like that moth, who, attracted to the fire, destroys himself, which is what the Kauravas are doing, right? They are attracted to that Vaibhav, to that Lakshmi, to all that, to all the worldly stuff, and are therefore entering the fires of destruction. So we can learn from that we get carried away by these things of this world, we will enter that fire of destruction. That's one way. And that's like a one-way street that we have entered. The second way you can look at it is that these moths are the spiritual sadhaks who, having entered the fire, have now consumed their individuality. So it's an interesting verse depending on how you choose to look at it. So either we can see it as, people rushing towards their destruction. All of us rushing towards our destruction, carried away by the falsities of life. Or if we've understood the truth, then rushing towards self-realization, which is the destruction of our individuality. So whichever way you'd like to take it. Now, of course, when Arjuna is talking about it, he's just, as you know, completely terrified. He doesn't know what is going on. It's too much for him. More negative sort of picturization is coming up. Verse 30. Liyase grasamana samantat samantalokan Liyase grasamana samanta lokan samagran vidnirjwaladbihi tejobhirapurya jagat samagram bhasasvat Vugra pratipanti Vishnu Liliyase grasamana samantat lokan samagran vadanirjwaladbihi tejobhirapurya jagat samagram Bhasastavogra patipanti Vishnu Leliyase Krasamanaha Samantat. Remember those heads which were stuck in his teeth? Leliyase means licking it now. No? It's all stuck. What will you do if it is stuck in your? Something is stuck in your teeth, you will lick it, no? Leliyase, you're licking. And you're liking the food also. Nice food, nice food. You're licking and swallowing. All of it is going inside. Samantat, from every side. Lokan, Samagram, all the people from all the side. Vadanehi, with your mouth. The flaming one. Tejobihi. Can you imagine that there is this massive fire and you're putting fuel in it? Look at it like that. Apurya, having filled Jagat, Samagram. These fierce rays of yours are burning, O Vishnu. To imagine all this, if you imagine something like a volcano or some massive fires, and everything is rushing into all of that, and it's almost like that being who is creating this fire is enjoying this thing. It's, Lelia say, if you see a carnivore, after they eat, then don't you see the tiger, like that, they will lick away because they've thoroughly enjoyed the meal. So the Lord is shown as being this massive destroyer who is thoroughly enjoying it. And very interestingly, it's called Vishnu. I should have said Shiva, at least then we'll understand who Vishnu is using. Because it's part of maintenance. Destruction is part of maintenance. We don't get that. Things will never be maintained unless they are destroyed. So that's how you have to, how the cycle of life goes on. Something is created, something is destroyed, and that's the cycle of maintenance. So here we have this frightening universal form, licking away, being very happy with all the destruction that he is causing. No, terribly frightening things, no? Horrible stuff is given away. Why do you think he's making it so gruesome, as it were? Like, you don't expect the Gita to tell us gruesome things, not Alfred Hitchcock to tell us something gruesome. Why do you think so much frightful things are written? Because it is one of the ways of controlling non-thinking people. If a person through logic cannot understand what the concept of consequences in, and you want to help that person, then the only way to do this is through fear. No other way, because you frighten the person with consequences, and then that person wakes up and does something sensible in life. So this is one of the things used for non-thinking people. That's why it is put over here. If you're the non-thinking variety, then you have to be dealt with fear. Now you can also look at this verse similarly as last thing is, if you look at it intellectually, you are a thinking person. So if you're not a thinking person, then please be terrified with this. But if you are a thinking person, then understand that it is talking about how when anything goes into the fire, it becomes the fire. And there's no difference between that thing and the fire. Suppose you put an iron ball into the fire. After some time, can you tell which is the iron ball and which is the fire? It is all the same. So intelligently, we're looking at it, then you understand that. Or if you take it in the sense of food, then once you eat the food is you. There is no separate thing. So you are filling this world with your brilliant rays, with all this fire, and it's all entering you. It means it is all you. It is becoming one with you. You are burning, O Vishnu. So various different ways we can consider this. We can see it as the benefits of destruction. We can see it as the unity with the self. So whichever one works for you, but they all are very acceptable in our understanding of the source.